Headphone, the blind passenger who landed the plane. The flight was supposed to be routine. Denver to Seattle, 2 hours, clear skies, and a plane full of ordinary people headed home, to work, to life. But no one on Flight 209 knew that in just a few hours, the world would be talking about one man, a man who couldn't even see the sky he was about to save. His name was Ethan Cole. 38 years old. Blind since the age of 12. He sat quietly in seat 14A, his fingers tracing the smooth curve of his cane, the hum of the jet engines vibrating softly through the floor beneath his feet. He loved that sound, the rhythm of controlled power, something he'd never see, but always feel. Ethan was used to silence. But what came next, was something no one was ready for. At exactly 6:47 p.m., 35 minutes after takeoff, the intercom crackled. The captain's voice came through, strained, uncertain. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing some technical difficulties. Please remain calm." The next 30 seconds changed everything. A sharp jolt. The smell of burning insulation. Oxygen masks dropped from above. Screams filled the cabin. The first officer had collapsed from a heart attack. The captain, trying to bring the plane under control, lost consciousness moments later. Now, 150 lives were locked in a 60-ton machine hurtling through the sky, with no one at the controls. Panic spread like wildfire. A flight attendant rushed down the aisle, tears in her eyes, yelling for help. "Is anyone here a pilot? Anyone?" No one answered. Ethan turned his head slightly, his hands gripping the armrest. "What's happening?" he asked. The attendant froze. She didn't know how to answer him. "The pilots are down," she said shakily. We have no one to fly the plane." Ethan's lips pressed together. He tilted his head slightly, listening. Beneath the chaos, he could hear the engines faltering, one of them losing rhythm. He couldn't see the danger. But he could hear it. "Get me to the cockpit," he said quietly. She blinked in disbelief. "Sir, you don't understand. The plane." "I do understand," he interrupted, calm but firm. "I can help. Just trust me." Minutes later, guided by trembling hands and desperate hope, Ethan was brought to the cockpit. It was chaos, alarms blaring, red lights flashing, oxygen hissing from a broken valve. The smell of smoke was stronger here. The control yoke moved slightly on its own, the plane dipping left. The ground wasn't far below now. Ethan felt his way forward. His hands brushed against the captain's shoulder, then the edge of the control panel. The metal was vibrating, unevenly. One engine was out of sync. "Turn on the comms," he said. "Let me talk to someone who can guide me." The flight attendant fumbled with the radio. After a few seconds, a voice came through, shaky, panicked. "This is air traffic control, who's on the line?" "This is Ethan Cole," he replied steadily. "I'm a passenger, and I'm blind." The frequency went silent for a second. Then, "Sir, did you say blind?" "Yes. But I can hear your instruments through the vibrations. You'll have to be my eyes." And just like that, an impossible partnership began, a blind man in the cockpit, guided only by the voice of a controller miles away. The controller, a woman named Laura Michaels, switched to manual frequency. Her tone was calm, but inside she was trembling. "Okay, Ethan. I'm going to describe every gauge, every lever. You'll need to listen closely." "I'm listening," he said. The controller started feeding him details, altitude, pitch, throttle position. Ethan absorbed each one like a language he already knew. He could feel the vibrations shift as the plane began to roll right. He adjusted the yoke, leveling it. "That's it," Laura said. "Keep it steady. You're flying the plane." No one in the cabin could believe what was happening. A blind man, with only his hearing, touch, and calm under pressure, was guiding a passenger jet through the sky. Minutes turned into an hour. Storm clouds rolled in over Seattle. The runway was slick with rain. The plane's systems were failing one by one. Laura's voice came through the static, "You're lined up for approach. 2 miles out. You need to lower your landing gear manually." Ethan reached down, his hand finding the gear lever. He pulled. A grinding sound. Then silence. "It's jammed," he said. A pause. "Then we do this the hard way," Laura replied. As the ground rushed closer, Ethan pictured nothing, just sound. The whine of the wind, the engine pitch, the faint vibration in the floor telling him how close they were. He whispered to himself, "Just feel it. Feel the air." Passengers braced for impact. Some prayed. Others cried. Ethan eased the throttles back. The plane dipped, then leveled. The vibrations softened. Now, Laura's voice came through. "Flare. Pull back gently." He did. A deafening screech. Sparks. The plane skidded along the runway, metal grinding, engines roaring. And then, silence. They had landed. The cabin erupted in screams, of joy, disbelief, tears. When rescue crews boarded minutes later, they found Ethan still in the cockpit, hands resting calmly on the controls, a faint smile on his face. "Did we make it?" he asked softly. The paramedic swallowed hard. "Yeah, sir. You made it. You saved them all." News channels called it the miracle at SeaTac. Experts said it was impossible. Pilots said no one, not even a trained professional, could have done what Ethan did without sight. But maybe that was the point. Because sometimes, the clearest vision doesn't come from your eyes. It comes from something deeper, from trust, from instinct, from the courage to act when the world goes dark. Ethan never called himself a hero. But the passengers of Flight 209 would never forget the man who landed a plane without ever seeing it.